There's a moment in your life where you hit a wall so hard it knocks the wind out of your soul. Maybe you're there right now. You wake up and feel empty, no drive, no energy, no fire, and the worst part, you're ashamed to even admit it. You feel stuck in a routine, dragging through the days, trying to convince yourself you're okay. But deep down, you know you're not even close. That pain you feel, that isn't your punishment. It's your wake-up call. See, people talk about motivation like it's some magical spark that just appears out of nowhere, but that's not how transformation works. You don't get motivated when life is comfortable. You get motivated when life is unbearable, when your back is against the wall, when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of changing. That's when you snap. That's when something inside you says, enough. I can't live like this anymore. That's what real change is born from, not from convenience, but from chaos, that rock bottom moment. That's your advantage, because pain is the greatest catalyst for change. When your heart breaks, when your dreams fall apart, when you're staring at your bank account, wondering how you'll make it another week, that's when the ground shifts. That's when the truth steps in, because pain doesn't lie. Pain reveals who you really are. It exposes your weakness so you can strengthen it. It destroys your excuses so you can build your identity. People who become billionaires, legends, history makers, they all have a moment where pain handed them two options, retreat or rise. And they chose to rise, not because they were superhuman, not because they had a perfect plan, but because the pain of living a small, unfulfilled life was louder than the voice of fear in their head. Pain pushed them forward when nothing else could. It became fuel. You see, what you're going through isn't the end. It's the beginning. The pain you feel today is carving out the space you'll need to hold greatness tomorrow. It's not destroying you, it's shaping you. It's forcing you to become the version of yourself that success requires, because no billionaire got there by accident. They got there through struggle, through late nights and lonely mornings, through rejection, failure, betrayal. And yes, pain. But they didn't waste it, they used it. So if you're in pain right now, good. That means you're alive. That means you still have fight left in you. Don't numb it, don't run from it, lean into it, feel it. Let it harden your focus. Let it sharpen your vision. Let it turn your maybe one day into I will. Because the people who rise from zero, the ones who go from empty to unstoppable, they're not the ones who waited for motivation. They're the ones who turned pain into power, and that choice, that moment, it can start right now. Everyone wants the big breakthrough. Everyone wants the $1,000,000 moment, the spotlight, the applause, the dream life. But what nobody wants to talk about is what actually creates that moment. It's not some giant leap. It's not a viral explosion or some magic shortcut. It's the tiny, almost invisible decisions you make every single day when nobody's watching. That's what builds unstoppable momentum. Small daily wins, that's the secret. We live in a world addicted to outcomes, obsessed with results, but the people who really win in life are the ones who fall in love with the process. They understand something most people never grasp. Success is a game of inches. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something consistently, showing up when it's boring, showing up when you're tired, showing up when no one claps. That's where your power is. You don't go from zero to billionaire overnight. That transformation starts with waking up 10 minutes earlier, saying no to one distraction, doing 5 extra reps at the gym, reading 10 more pages when you'd rather scroll your phone, making one more call, one more email, one more uncomfortable decision that puts you closer to the person you want to become. It's boring. It's not sexy, but it's everything. The problem is most people underestimate how powerful those little wins are. They think if it's not big, it doesn't count. So they wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, and in the process, they miss the one thing that actually changes their life: consistency. Because the truth is, what you do daily becomes who you are permanently. That's how momentum is born. That's how you shift from stuck to unstoppable. Every billionaire you admire didn't wake up motivated every day. What they did was stack wins quietly, relentlessly, while everyone else was chasing hype. They were chasing habits. One win, then another, until the compound effect took over and the world had no choice but to pay attention. You want to change your life. Don't wait for the big opportunity. Create it, brick by brick. Decision by decision. Win the morning, win the next hour, win the tiny battles in your mind that say skip it. Do it later. Take it easy. Because every time you override that voice, you build strength. Every time you do the hard thing when it's easier not to, you take another step toward your future. And then one day it happens. You look back and realize you're not the same person anymore. You've got momentum now. Confidence, clarity, and you know, deep down, that you're not just dreaming anymore. You're becoming. All because you committed to the little wins when nobody cared, when nobody saw it, when it didn't feel like it mattered. But it did matter, and it always will, because the road from zero to billionaire is built on thousands of silent victories stacked one on top of another. And that journey, it starts today. Your entire life is shaped by one thing, how you see yourself. Not your circumstances, not your background, not your bank account, your identity. Because your behavior will never consistently outgrow the story you believe about who you are. You want to change your life. Don't start with your actions, start with your identity, because identity drives behavior. Every single time, see, we're all living according to an internal thermostat, and that thermostat is your identity. You might push yourself, grind hard, even succeed temporarily, but if the person you're becoming doesn't match the version of yourself that your identity accepts, you'll sabotage it. You'll drift right back to your comfort zone, not because you're weak, but because your subconscious is loyal to your identity, and your identity always wins. You think billionaires operate with the identity of a quitter, of someone who's trying. No, they believe they're built for greatness. They believe they deserve success, and because they believe it, they act in alignment with it. That belief shows up in how they walk, how they talk, how they attack the day. They don't wait for motivation. They live with certainty, not because life is easier for them, but because their identity demands more from them. If you keep saying, "I'm not a morning person," guess what? You'll hit snooze, you'll stay inconsistent, but if your identity becomes, "I'm a disciplined, driven individual who dominates the morning," you'll start acting like it, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because your behavior always chases your identity, and here's the truth most people miss. Identity is not fixed, it's built, every day. Every decision you make is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. So, if you want to go from zero to billionaire, stop asking what to do. Start asking who you need to become. Because when you get your identity right, the behavior will follow. Want to become unstoppable? Want to dominate your space? You have to decide who you are, not in some fluffy, surface-level way, but deep down in your soul. You have to rewire the story, kill off the old version of you that plays small, that overthinks, that doubts, and step into the version of you that's relentless, focused, disciplined, unshakable. That shift doesn't happen once. It happens daily, through repetition, through affirmations, through your environment, through the people you surround yourself with. Every time you act in alignment with your new identity, you reinforce it, you carve it deeper, and eventually it becomes your default setting. From there, everything changes. Because now you're not forcing discipline. You are disciplined, you're not acting confident. You are confident, you're not hoping to win. You expect to win, because your identity now matches the future you're building. And when your identity locks in, your behavior rises to meet it. Every time, no exceptions. That's the foundation. That's the difference. That's how you go from zero to everything. Motivation is a spark. It feels good. It gets you excited. It makes you want to start. But let's be real, that feeling doesn't last. It fades. It disappears the moment life gets hard, when you're tired, when things don't go your way. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask for permission. It just shows up. That's why discipline is greater than motivation. Because motivation is based on emotion, and discipline is built on decision. The truth is, if you're relying on motivation to change your life, you're setting yourself up to fail. Because there will be mornings where you don't want to get out of bed. There will be nights where everything in you screams to quit. And in those moments, it's not motivation that carries you through. It's discipline. It's the agreement you made with yourself that says, no matter how I feel, I execute. The people who rise from nothing to everything. The ones who become unstoppable, unbreakable, undeniable. They are not motivated every day. They've just made discipline a non-negotiable standard. They don't wake up wondering if they'll show up. They've already decided they will. They've burned the bridge. There is no plan B. There is only do the work. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline builds momentum. It's the quiet grind behind closed doors. It's choosing the gym when you're exhausted. It's eating clean when no one's watching. It's reading the extra chapter, making the extra call, doing the extra rep. Those little acts of discipline, stacked day after day, are what separate the average from the elite. See, most people are addicted to their feelings. They want to wait until it feels right. But if you only take action when it feels good, you'll never get far. Discipline is what allows you to do the hard thing, especially when it doesn't feel good. That's when you grow. That's when you develop the mental toughness required to win in life. You want the truth. Every billionaire you admire was once someone nobody noticed, but they had this in common. They chose discipline over comfort, day after day, year after year, long before the results showed up, long before they got paid, long before anyone clapped. That's what it takes. That's what most people are unwilling to do. But you don't need more motivation. You need to raise your standard. You need to become the kind of person who follows through, who doesn't wait for hype or energy or a perfect mood, who wakes up and does the work, because that's who they are now. And when you live that way, when you own your schedule, your habits, your focus, you don't need motivation to perform. You've built a system. You've built trust in yourself. That's power. That's consistency. That's how empires are built, not on flashes of excitement, but on relentless, unshakable discipline. Perfection is the enemy of greatness. It's the lie that keeps you stuck, overthinking, hesitating, waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, the perfect version of yourself to take action. But that moment never comes, and while you're waiting, someone else is moving. Someone else is executing, someone else is winning, because success doesn't belong to the person who's perfect, it belongs to the person who's obsessed with progress. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move forward every single day, inch by inch, step by step. It doesn't matter if it's messy. It doesn't matter if it's uncomfortable. What matters is that you're not the same person you were yesterday. That's the game. Progress over perfection, growth over image, movement over waiting. Too many people lose their dreams trying to look perfect. They get so wrapped up in comparing, planning, overanalyzing, they forget the only thing that actually matters. Are you getting better? Are you closer than you were a week ago? Are you stronger, sharper, more focused than the person you were last month? Because that's the only scoreboard that counts. The people who go from zero to billionaire, they don't chase flawless. They chase forward. They know they're going to mess up. They expect setbacks, but they move anyway. That's what separates winners, not talent, not luck, but a relentless obsession with improving just a little bit every single day. They fall in love with becoming, not arriving. You have to stop telling yourself the story that you're not ready. You're ready enough to start. You're ready enough to try. You're ready enough to take one bold, imperfect step. Because when you do, you start building something more important than perfection. You start building belief. You start stacking wins. You start proving to yourself that you're not here to play it safe. You're here to evolve. Nobody remembers the person who waited, but everyone respects the one who grew, even when it was slow, even when it was quiet, even when nobody clapped. Progress has a compound effect. One good decision leads to another. One small improvement multiplies, and suddenly, without even realizing it, you've transformed. You look back and you don't even recognize the version of you who was too scared to begin. That's the power of choosing progress. It's gritty, it's real, it's what success is actually made of. You don't need perfection to change your life. You need courage, you need hunger. You need to be more obsessed with your future than your fear of messing up. So go, take the step, make the call, launch the idea, hit the gym, write the post. Start where you are with what you have, and if it's ugly, good. That means it's real, that means it's honest, and that's how legends are made. Not in flawless execution, but in relentless, imperfect progress. There's a moment in everyone's life where everything can change, not because the world shifts, not because your circumstances magically improve, but because you decide differently. One decision, that's it. One real, committed, no turning back decision. You are one decision away from a completely different life. That might sound too simple for some people to believe, but the truth is, the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't as wide as it seems. It's not about luck. It's not about being born into the right family or having all the answers. It's about getting to a place in your soul where you say, I'm done living like this. That's where the shift begins. That's where lives are rewritten. Most people drift through life. They don't decide anything. They avoid, they delay, they hope. They hope something good happens. They hope life gets easier. But nothing changes until you decide. Decide to raise your standards. Decide to stop tolerating average. Decide to finally chase the life you know you were built for. Because when you make a true decision, it pulls you forward. It locks you in. It cuts off all other options. That's where real power begins. You don't have to change everything overnight. You just have to make a single, clear, powerful decision that you're going to start. That you're going to show up. That you're going to do the work, whether you feel like it or not. That you're going to break the pattern, rewrite the story, and build a life that reflects your potential, not your pain. Think about it. Every transformation story you've ever heard, every person who went from nothing to everything, they all had that moment, a line in the sand, a turning point, one decision to get sober, to launch the business, to stop blaming, to start healing. That moment is where destiny begins, not because the conditions were right, but because their choice was right. And here's what's wild. You already know the decision you need to make. It's been sitting in the back of your mind, whispering to you in the quiet moments, the habit you need to break, the phone call you need to make, the risk you need to take, the voice inside you that says, there's more for you than this. That voice is telling the truth, but it's waiting on your decision. You don't need a miracle. You don't need perfect timing. You need courage, one moment of insane, unreasonable courage, because after that first bold decision, momentum kicks in. You start stacking wins, you start building belief, you start becoming the version of yourself that you always knew was in there waiting. Your future is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And today, right now, can be the day everything starts to change, not by accident, but by decision, one decision, that's all it takes. Your new life is waiting on the other side.